Cool, so we're going to quickly run through rendering for compositing your images together. So I believe last time I might have used even an AI image generator to create my cyclist, because it's hard to find images. I did a cyclist. It's hard to find images of cyclists without sunglasses on. Might be easier for you. Let's do this guy though. It looks like I already have that. And I don't think I've already used it for rendering.
Sure.
So in this case, you kind of have a couple ways you can do this. Let me pull up my my sunglasses file here real quick. Do not remember. No. Cool. All right, so I've got my sunglasses here that I've already created. Seemingly are missing an arm. Let me find that first. There we go. Okay. So the simple way to do this is just figure out, okay, once I've created my glasses, you know, how am I looking at them, and how does that compare to your cyclist? So in this case, you know, I'm kind of trying to figure out what angle here is going to make the most sense, and kind of see what will make them line up well. What I do for something like this is I have an app called PureRef, and I'm sure there's something similar for Windows, if not PureRef working for it. And this allows me to load, let's see, maybe I have to close this. So this allows me to load this image, which I can kind of ghost over my screen and adjust and move around. And this will allow me to really line everything up. This is not something you have to do. This is a little above and beyond, but it makes it a little easier for lining stuff up. And then I have it set so that I can make it so that literally just overlays a transparent image. So this one's PureRef. You can see it up here. I'm sure there's something similar for Windows, but it's really great for something like this. And then I want to make this so that when I click, it's not moving the PureRef. So the command for me is set to Command T, and now this is completely invisible to my mouse, essentially. No matter what I do, it's not moving this image around now that I've got it set in place. So I'm going to change from constrained orbit to free orbit. This is going to allow me to get a little more angle on here. And I'm just going to kind of adjust until this looks about right. This can definitely be, especially with free orbit, there's not a ton of like scientific ways to really get it. You know, I find myself just kind of doing this, and then eventually I get something that looks about right there. So that's a good angle for me. Now, one thing you can do to make this easier for yourself, so I just Command T to make this, oh, I guess it didn't work, huh? So I can move this around. I'm actually going to quit this because now I have my angle correct. I don't need to see that anymore. And I know that this is how I want to render it. I'm going to zoom in a little more so that I have a slightly higher resolution image. And I know on the far side of the guy's head, I can't even see this arm. So I'm just going to turn it off by clicking on that arm and pressing V. So I don't even have to worry about not including that in that image. And I'm also going to hide my lens as well. You'll be able to go back in and re-add that. I'll also try and see if it'll allow me to export this with transparency in a minute. But we're going to start simple. We're going to start without a lens in here. A lot of you won't have a lens modeled anyways. So once I have this all angled correctly, like I said, you can do it the normal way by just looking at the image and saying, hey, you know, this looks like the right angle. Or you can download that app I had, doesn't matter. You can, I usually like to start with an in-canvas render. This allows me to watch it render. I can change settings as it goes. So let's say, you know, I want to change the background to whatever my environment library is set to. I can do that. I'm going to turn off the ground plane because there is no ground plane right at someone's nose height. And so you don't need a shadow. That's just going to make it harder to deal with. Typically, camera photos are going to be taken with a focal length of about 50 millimeters, just to give you a rough idea. I have depth of field on. You don't need it on. It's going to make everything look more kind of fancy. So if I re-render this without depth of field, everything is in focus, if any of you are photographers. If you really want to go above and beyond, you can turn on depth of field and then select whatever point you want to be in focus on this, and you'll notice everything not right there is kind of fuzzy. And then you're going to want to take this down a little bit because that's too excessive. Once you have everything set up how you want it, you know, let's say you want to change how the light is hitting your glasses, you can do that by just changing, you know, rim highlights, sharp highlight, just double clicking on these until you find some lighting that seems to match your image. So in this case, it's lit on his left, or on his right hand side, on the left side of the image. So that's where I would expect to see light coming in. This looks to be pretty relatively accurate in terms of the shadow that you would see in that scene. So then I'm going to switch from my in-canvas render, I'm going to stop that, to my actual renderer. And this is going to allow me to save the image afterwards. So I'm going to do local renderer because my computer is going to be faster than sending it off to the cloud and having them render it for me and send it back. You can also do cloud renderer. That just means it's going to render on Fusion servers. Final is good. You can also do standard. And I'm going to change this to 4000 by 3000, which is just about the most resolution that Fusion will allow you to render with. And I'm just going to click render. Oh, real quick. I'm going to leave my file format as PNG lossless. That gives you a little more information to work with in Photoshop. We'll try a transparent background in a bit. I'm going to leave it off for now and see how transparent background works and see if that'll let me do a lens with semi-transparency. Once I've started my rendering, you'll see it appear down here, kind of grayed out / blued out. You can double click it even before it's done and kind of see where it's at. So this will finish up in a little bit. You can also just shut that. While that renders, I'm going to queue up another render, and this one I'm going to do it with transparent background. Oh, and I should turn on my lens visibility here and see if that works for me. See if it'll allow me to do semi-transparency. We're going to figure it out today. I'm going to do transparent background. This should mean that you won't need to cut this sunglass out of an image, and it should mean that you can just drop it on. We're going to find out. And then click OK. So I've got my render queue here. Looks like this one is almost done, and then the next one's set to start in a minute here. So that one just finished up. So once your rendering is finished, you can just click on the download button up here. and then name it as whatever you want. So I'm going to say sunglasses render. Oop. I'm just going to slap that on my desktop for now. Okay. While the other one finishes rendering, I'm going to open my Photoshop. And I'm going to open up that image that I have. There we go, that's it. Cool. So this is not a super high resolution image. If I were you, I would try and find a higher resolution image than this. This is probably why I didn't end up using this image. But it's what I got already, so we're going to use it for this demonstration. So I just created a new layer, and I'm going to find my render that I just created. Just drop it on. Okay, so this was my render that didn't have the transparency turned on. So I might actually, to make this simpler, open that in another basically tab and select all of it in this tab. So I'm just going to kind of rush through this with the magnetic lasso. Hopefully this does a good enough job. I love this tool. It gets you at least a good starting point. Sometimes it's not exactly what you need, but it's so fast to start off with that you can just easily go in and clean stuff up again. So, I mean, off the bat, that looks pretty good. I did have depth of field on by the looks of things here. So.
You could also try select subject.
What's that?
Select subject.
Yeah, that's true. I, for some reason, tend to do this.
It's okay.
And then I'm going to, let's see, if you hold Option on Mac, I'm sure that there's something else on Windows. While selecting, it's going to remove this area from your selection. So I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and do the same thing here. Cool. I'm just going to command copy this and paste it into nothing. Where did it go? I might have to inverse my selection. Let's see. Alright, we're struggling today. So I just inverted my selection, deleted everything else, and then reselected this. Let's see if this is going to work for me. I could just be brutally misremembering something. It should allow me to paste that in, should it not?
Yeah, can you go back again? Go ahead and try select subject. Select subject. Did it like it or no?
It selected it. It's just not pasting it for some reason.
Oh, try with the move tool, not with the
move?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
selected, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Control
that could be it.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be.
Looks like papers.
Let's do this. I'm going to
Okay.
export this as a PNG because PNGs have transparency.
It should work.
It should work on yours. I don't know why it's not working on mine. Cool. Now, if I go back to here, oh, that's fine. There we go. All right. So, like we said, you should be able to copy paste that in. I don't know what's going on here. But now I have this. I can, in this case, I'm going to scale it up a little bit and adjust this until it looks like it's fitting on his face. So what I'm looking at here is I really just am looking to make sure, hey, does this kind of sit what looks to be in front of where his forehead would be? And does this reach long enough? So in this case, I'm going to stretch it out a little more, make it a little larger. I'm actually going to rotate it a little bit more. I'm just sizing this up so that it looks like it's about the right size. Cool. Now that I've done that, I'm going to, it's got some weird artifacting going on. I'm going to basically remove these parts that you wouldn't be able to see. So what I like to do is I create another layer on top of my image of the sunglasses frame, and then I switch to my initial layer, and I just cut out pieces of his face. Command copy, and then paste that on the layer above.
Supposed to delete it. Let's go.
You can do,
Like that.
you're doing destructive editing, I like it.
Yeah.
This also allows me to change the feather, because usually a hard line might not look quite right. So I'm going to change the feather to 2 pixels and try that. Oops.
You can also delete the brush if you want.
Yeah, you can.
Brushes.
There's a number of ways to do this, but really I'm just cleaning up anything that you wouldn't be able to see. Like that. Just adding a little bit of shadow, making this feel a little less harsh. And then you can go in, you can do all sorts of stuff, adding shadows with the pen tool and all, all that stuff. Another thing that I would probably do is create another layer and basically select where your lens would be. And I'm gonna do this quick here. And you can either, what I would probably do, let's say that I want like a yellowish tinged lens. I'll pick that. It's gonna be kind of ugly, it's okay. I'll do that, and then I'll change my opacity. It's just for a quick and dirty way to throw on a lens that you can then, go back here and adjust. Okay, I want it a little darker, a little lighter, whatever you want to do. And then while you're in here as well, you can use your brush tool, and with your nice monitors that we've got, you can, basically create streaks by either, using a darker color and drawing that in, or you can use the erase tool and change this to like a soft round pressure opacity and create kind of streaks going through it as well here. It's not super visible, but you kind of get the vision, I hope. Yeah.
Anybody trying this on their computers and having any questions?
I'm going to check real quick and see also if the other export with transparency mode turned on actually works how I would like it to. Nice. Okay, if you check that transparency mode on, looks like it does most of the work for you. I don't know, is that cheating? So this guy's already going to have the kind of the light data from your render with kind of the streaking on your lens. And so all you'll have to do is just kind of cut this out, and you'll just kind of need a match. If I were to go in here and try and delete this frame here, I'm going to have this weird kind of streak going through it. So you'll kind of need to come back in with a brush maybe and just touch that up nicely. Obviously, what's that? Or stamp tool, however you want to do it. I'm sure there's an AI way to do it these days. But yeah, if I were you, I would check that transparency mode on when you render it. Saves you a lot of time cleaning that up in Photoshop. Does anyone have any questions? And I recorded all of this too, so we'll put this up as a video just like last time.